Hi there, Jimmy Teague here with Phoenix Home Inspections, doing another project today. I wanted to go ahead and kind of show you a way of saving money if you want to do this yourself, or at least know the process. My wife wanted to redo the front porch. When we had it poured, it had a dye or something in it, so it always looks dirty even when it's clean. Of course right now it's dirty, but I'm getting ready to take a grinder to it, smooth it out. I'll clean it. Use this stuff called etching that opens up the pores, but I'm going to be using a couple different tools. Of course, I'm using a grinder. I'm using the wire brush. Main reason why I'm using the wire brush is I got a spot here. I think the dog keeps peeing on the post, so I'm going to wire brush that, sand it down, and I'm going to paint that as well. And then down here on the ground, you can see the black stuff. That's actually tar. When we built the house, the building inspector said that the tar wasn't high enough, made us raise it really high, and I'm like, that's above grade. And he's like, nope, it needs to be that high. So with adding all the rock and stuff, that's kind of hid some of it. But I'm going to use the wire brush to try to knock some of that tar off, then I'll hit it with the grinder. But show you what the front porch kind of looks like. I'm going to do the steps. I'm going to come down and do this pad, which I just poured here just in the last. Okay, so it kind of give you a look. You can see the black. I'm going to actually try to grind that off. And you can see these ridge lines and knots. Those are actually left over from the form boards. I may actually fill some of the holes up. We got a couple spots here. Got a mix. I'm going to try to flatten that out. I mean, I could probably do it with a grinder. To make it not as noticeable, but I want to try to seal that up. I got a crack in the corner, which that's typical, you know, settlement. May try to seal that up. They said you could take your grinder and make this groove a little deeper, then run your stuff, but it's kind of floating there. That way it doesn't break off, so I may just leave that alone. The one crack over here I'll probably do. I will probably catch that up because that's actually part of the foundation where it's just, you know, settled a little bit. I mean, the house has been sitting here for about 14 years. Now, when you're looking at your tools, of course, using a grinder, got to wear a mask because you don't want to inhale the stuff. This is actually the bit you use. I'm using a 4.5 inch angle grinder, but this is called a diamond cup. For 3/8. Gotta have your leather gloves because it's going to vibrate you pretty good. And then these are actually full seal glasses. These are a must, especially using this wheel grinder here. I'm sorry, the wire wheel. It'll look like you've been in a fight with a porcupine by the time you're done, because those needles will come out. But anyway, so I'm going to get busy. I'm not going to do the whole video if you see me doing every step, but I'll give you little updates and show you each individual step. The stuff I use, I buy Rust-Oleum, I can't even say it, Rust-Oleum hard rock marble is the stuff that I'm using. It's a polyurethia or polyura, something, I don't know. But you have that. You can also do staining. I've done concrete staining. That's pretty easy. It's just a chemical. There's different kinds. There's like an acid base and I think the other one's a water base. Then you can paint it, and of course you can use epoxy. The polyura that we're using, it's actually kind of considered indoor stuff. It's pretty nice. There's a lot of different things you can do. But when we had the price quote, I think we were looking at like $2,500, almost $3,000 to just do the porch. I'm going to say I'm going to have about $300 in it, but that depends on how many of these discs I go through. These range anywhere from like 35 to 70 bucks a piece. So hopefully one will last quite a ways, but we'll see how it goes, and I'll keep you up to date. Thanks. Bye. Hi, Jimmy Teague here with Phoenix Home Inspections. Showing you my remodel I'm doing on the front porch, putting in a Rust-Oleum rock solid universal base coat. This stuff. Sorry, using my tablet instead of my camera today. This is like a polycuraime. Let's see if I can get down there. Industrial polycuraime. Typically for indoors, garages. It's supposed to be a lot stronger than epoxy. So, but I'm going to put it on my porch and see how it works. Like I said, when I got this bedded out, we're looking at about $2,500. But as you can see, this is nice and smooth. I had a couple of places where I was running the grinder, got too deep, so I used some patch. You can even see where I patched it. Actually, right here is where I patched it. Another spot down here, you could actually see the forms, the lines from the actual concrete forms. Had some indentures where the rebar, the little pegs go in. So I grinded that off. I had holes, fill those up, just hit it with the grinder. Now I'm getting ready to rinse it and use this industrial cleaner. And I believe this is actually an etching. But I'll use a bag of this. I'll pour it into my sprayer. I believe it's 1 bag to 2 gallons. So once I get that done, I'll spray it. You're supposed to let it soak for, I think, a couple minutes. I'll use my broom over here, scrub it down really good, get it good and clean, and then I believe you're supposed to wash it 3 times. From what I see online, they always say let it dry for 24 hours before you put the stuff on. It's going to be a nice, hot, humid day. I don't think it's going to take quite 24 hours for this to dry. So I plan on doing this towards the evening. I've got 3 dogs that like to run in and out. So I'm going to actually put up fence posts, run plastic like a fence to keep them off of it. This evening I'll probably go ahead and try to get it painted. I think it says you can walk on it within 8 hours. So if I can get the stuff on there, get it to dry by the morning, I should be able to let my dogs out the front door instead of running them through the garage. But I'll go to the next step and show you how it works. Like I said, I'm just getting ready to spray this down with the etching, scrub it, hose it off a couple times, and then I'm going to tape up, run blue tape all the way around the perimeter so I don't get any of the Polycuraime on the siding, because I don't want it to be a different color. So I'll get that, get it all done, and show you the next step. Thanks. Okay, so I just rinsed this off. It's hard to see. It's the reason why I put my pins here. It's something I do with home inspections, is to point something out. This is to let me know. You can't even see it. There's a edge here where the grinder got down in a little too deep here, and there's a little bit here, and then I got another spot right here. I got a little divot behind my grinder here. So I'm just going to show you how this works. You do not want to stay in one spot. You want to keep going back and forth, because if you stay in one spot, that's how you're going to get these grooves. So I was probably working on a divot or something really hard, or a hole or something, and just got too deep. So I'm going to do this real quick. Got to have the mask. Hosing it down, getting it wet does cut the dust quite a bit. And of course you get chunks of concrete coming up, so you got to have your goggles. So let me do this real quick. This is called a diamond cup. You got to rely on feel, not your visual. That's it right there. So I got this flat out. I thought there was a few, so I just went straight across. As you can see, I kept working it back and forth, because if I just keep going here, I'm just going to have a rut. So time to rinse this off again and etch it. Okay, so I'm just going to show you where I'm at today. Sorry, it's like 90 degrees out, so I'm trying to be comfortable here. So I've got all my stuff laid out. I already grinded this down. I etched it. I had made the comment that I was thinking about trying to do it last night after 12 hours. That didn't work. Still had some moisture around the cracks where the J channel is on the bottom. So I wanted to go ahead and make sure I gave it an actually full 24 hours to dry. Just show you some of the stuff that's in the kit. When you open it up, you would expect to see what looks like a paint can, but it's not. You get this 2 stuff. What you do is you roll up like a piece of toothpaste. It pops into the other bag. You You shake it up really good, and then I'll split it in these two different containers because they're actually have measurements, so it'll be really easy to split it. And then when you buy a die pack, it comes in a box, and inside of it's 2 collars. So I got brick red that goes in one. It's like CC10 or something. That'll go in the other one. I'll mix those up together. The collars will be separate, and it's got this fancy looking tray. It's actually a 2 divider. So when you use this tray, you pour it in each section of it. It's got this fancy roller that is 2-part, so that way you keep the paint separated. When you take it, you'll do like M's or W's, and then you blend it all together to give it that blended look. And then with the 3-inch brush, you'll do the same thing with the tray. You'll just split it right down the middle, and then you want to etch. So I'm going to do all my edging first, then roll it in. But before I begin, I've got all of my blue tape. I've got some rosin paper. I'm going to tape all the way around my J-channel, the bottoms of my pillars. I'm going to tape those up because I don't want any of this stuff to get on it, because anyone will wear old clothes, old shoes, because this stuff is compared to epoxy is what they say. So it's not like your regular paint you could probably wash really well. So anyway, I'll show you some of the steps as I go through, but I won't get going before it gets too hot out. Thanks. Okay, so I figured I'd probably show you how to tape, just some little tricks, because I forget not everybody grew up like I did, where my dad had a body shop, so I got pretty good at learning how to tape quick. If you keep the tape tight, I'm going to start over here. Pretty much you're putting the tape where you don't want any stain, paint, anything to go on it. So I'm going to get lined up on the very bottom of it. If you hold it kind of tight, you want a little bit of a gap, because if it goes on the actual concrete, you're going to have a gray line in the end. But you can actually tape pretty fast. And then what I'll do, because this gives me a nice clean line. See, I actually have a gap there. I'll take my rosin paper, I'll slide it in behind this and push it on there, and then just put a couple pieces of tape on the top to actually keep it secured. Now if you got too close, you can always take your razor blade. Now I'm not actually cutting it, I'm actually pushing it up underneath it so I have a gap. So if that Polycuraime, or if you were using paint or whatever, slides underneath it, you're not going to see the gray. So I'm going to keep on going, but that's pretty much how it is. So I'm going to slide the rosin paper here, tape it up to the top. Okay, so I want to show you what it looked like after I got it all taped up. So, you know, there's more than one way of taping it. I dropped it down in the J channel. Over here on the bottom, I ran a piece of tape across the bottom. You could run a solid piece on tape that makes it secure, but I just kind of tacked it up. You see, I've done my post over here on my landing, because I'm just going to make this straight line there. And you could do the same thing if you want to do like designs. You could actually tape the floor off and do the different collars. And of course, I was a little short. I didn't want to cut a piece of paper. I just ran a bunch of tape because it was quicker. But now I'm going to mix everything up and get to painting. First thing I'm going to do is make sure I got something to drink, because from my understanding, this stuff dries pretty quick. So once I start, I'm not going to stop. Okay, so I went ahead, and what I did is I rolled to one side and it popped into the other one. Shook it up real good. And so I'm going to split it, put half of it in each container, put one color in, one color, mix them up good. Then, since this is outside, I'm going to throw half of this in each one, put it in the tray. Okay, so each one's roughly a liter a piece. Already got the stuff in there. I'm going to pour each color in and mix it. Here's the brick red. Bet YouTube will probably pick up my music. There's red. I do have 2 kits. They say it does about 250 square feet. My math's wrong. I think I'm about 300 square feet. If you got to figure out your square feet, it's length times width. That's in footage. And then that'll tell you how many total square feet you got. And then I always like to add 5-10%. Just because I never trust it. It's always better to have too much than too little. Alright, so I'm going to break my little string stick. Actually, I got 2 string sticks. So, stuff looks like glue. See it, so I'm going to stir it up and also split my additive to it. Okay, so I got the collars split down in the middle, so I'm going to take my brush, go right down the middle. So it's going to keep the collars separated. And what I'm going to do is etch. So just to kind of give you an idea what it kind of looks like. So then you just kind of swirl it in. And mix the 2 collars together. I'm sure the rollers will look a lot better doing it this way. But yeah, this stuff's like glue. So I just want to kind of go down here, get the edge. And I'm trying to make sure I got the dark brown and the light brown separated. But yeah, you just kind of swirl it in. I should be able to do that with the brush, or the roller, I'm sorry. Let's get going. So I'll give you an update later. Hi there, Jimmy Teague here, back again with Phoenix Home Inspections. Showing you how to make your front porch look pretty slick. So I'm using this Polycuraime. Just wanted to give you an update. So the day I actually did it, it was 90 degrees out. As soon as the sun came over, I just mixed a batch. The stuff solidifies, so you got to do it when it's cool out, and don't let the stuff get warm. Don't let the sun hit it. Here's what happens when you don't. I don't know if you can see that, but it beat it up. The other issue too is because, you know, we're always worried about it being slick. Is I don't know if you can see it, but it looks like there's hair. That's the anti-skid stuff. So just take note. If you put that stuff in, that's what it's going to do. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm using a scraper, knocking the bubbles off. And then I'm using a block sander, and it really didn't take much effort to do it. I mean, I hit it just a couple passes and it cleared out. Just make sure you wear gloves, because it don't take much to go right across that anti-skid and slice your finger open. So kind of makes me wonder what would happen if you was barefoot and you slipped. I would think it'd cut your feet up pretty good. But anyway, I'm going to get to it, and then I'm going to make up my next batch. Should only have to do 2 batches, but I'm doing 3 because my second batch went bad because of the heat. So I'm going to try to get this done before the sun hits it. Plus I want to hit the top of it because I went over it so much to make sure all the concrete got covered that I ruined the pattern of it. So all you see is the really dark, it was called brick, the CC tan. You can barely see it, so I'm going to make sure that when I apply it the second time that you see more of that tan to give it more of that marble look. So let me show you the next update. Okay, so I wanted to do a follow-up. I finally got my patio done, and I'm actually really happy with it. Now, a couple things I wanted to touch base on is, one, the product I use is called Polycuraime that I had done on the porch. It worked out really well. It's actually an indoor product, kind of overlooked that. Polyurethia or something like that, I think is what it's called, is considered an outdoor. The Polycuraime, problem with it that I found out is if the bags get warm, you mix it, it'll solidify really quick. Also with the sun will cause it to bubble. This porch pretty much stays in the sun or out in the shade, but it did bubble a little bit, but they pop out slight rings, but it's really not noticeable. But as you can see, I think it turned out pretty well. I went ahead and painted these to give it more accent. We're talking about painting the door white. I might do a video on that. If not, I believe it's a gel stain that you're supposed to use on the fiberglass doors that has the wood tint. I was using the wrong stain when I first applied it. This actually has the gel stain, but my dogs kind of tore it up, so I'm going to probably reapply either the gel stain, or we're talking about stripping the door down, painting it white. Plus, I'm actually going to replace my lights that I have. So the porch is going to look really cool when I get done with it. We're also going to put a guardrail in. The height doesn't actually require guardrails, but for aesthetic looks or cosmetics and also just additional safety, we're going to go ahead and add the guardrail. But hopefully you learned some stuff off this video, or give you some inspirations on some thoughts on what you could do. One thing I did discover is, if you look down here, I did a really good paint or tape job, but I still got a little bit of the paint on, well, or stain, however you want to call it, the Polycuraime. I actually got it on the J channel on the bottom of the stuff, and I was talking to another contractor, and he was looking at it, and he's like, you know, I found out using the 3M blue tape, the paint can't actually go up underneath the tape, which is what happened here. And he has heard really good things about Frogs, the brand called Frogs. So you might look at using Frogs if you try this, and just let me know how it works out. But anyway, on to the next project. I'm probably going to do, I've got a couple in the works. I'm getting ready to do probably one on keeping your pool crystal clear this season. So I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.